Let me thank IIM Calcutta for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share some of my thoughts on the incredible journey of Indian space program. In my perspective, it's purely based on my own journey in ISRO for about 35 years. See, the Indian space program had great visionaries, all of you are equally aware, like Sarabhai, its founding father, and Professor Satish Dhawan, who played a significant role in the formation of ISRO with its culture, with its own so-called ISRO culture. Of course, we had several such visionaries, including Professor Brahm Prakash, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Professor U.R. Rao, Dr. K. Kasturirangan, and so on and on. There are many. So, and also we all know visionaries are required for any organization to foresee the needs of the future. And from such needs only arise the missions, and it is the fruits of those missions that finally reach the people and takes India progressively towards self-reliance. See, the space-related activities in India, it began in a very humble way in the early 1960s. See, when TELS was established at Tumba near Thiruvananthapuram in the southern coastal region of India. See, we started with small sounding rockets for atmospheric studies, and then expanded the activities to developing of our own satellite launch vehicles, the SLV. See, the first successful launch of SLV was in 1980 when it placed a 40 kg Rohini satellite in orbit. It was a wonderful achievement at that point of time, and India became the 6th country to have its own satellite launch vehicle. Incidentally, Dr. Kalam was the project director of SLV. And of course, the development of the second generation of launch vehicles started subsequently for launching the satellites of heavier mass of about 150 kg class, and hence the augmented SLV, the ASLV program started. See, when I joined ISRO in 1986, the activities of ASLV were in its peak for launch in the next year. It was scheduled in the year of 1987. I remember it was in March 87. So at this point, I would like to share very frankly that I didn't grow up aspiring to be a space scientist. So as soon as I passed out of the College of Engineering Trivandrum, commonly known as we all call CET, one of the topmost engineering colleges in Kerala, with a BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering, my sole aim was to get a job, because such was the financial conditions at home, and it was a pressing need for me to take the responsibility of supporting my father at that time. I would like to go back to my initial days. I come from a small village called Annur in Payyanur. It's in Kannur district in the northern part of Kerala. We were a large family, and my father really struggled he was really struggling to bring up 7 of us. So my father somehow managed to study up to 8th standard, and my mother could not go to school at all. I studied in the local government school in my village, and of course in Malayalam medium, and further went to Payyanur College to complete my BSc in mathematics before I pursue my engineering at Thiruvananthapuram. So I remember very well, we got electricity in my house when I was 28 years old. And incidentally, those days, mathematics and music were my passions, even those days, even today. So in between the financial struggles also, I mean, I and not that much support from my family, because their main idea or their main worry was to feed all of us in a better way. But then learning classical music and all, it was not a subject for them at all. But still, I pursued my interest in Carnatic music somehow, and I learned to play flute for about 10 years, partly at my native place and partly later in Thiruvananthapuram, which to this day is something I am very passionate about. Now coming back to ISRO, I joined in the systems reliability entity in '86, where the main responsibility was to ensure that the launch vehicle systems have undergone proper design, realization, integration, testing and simulation process. There are a series of processes as per the requirements of the respective projects and missions, and also very important, as per the stipulated quality standards. See, what makes the space systems different from other systems is the stringent and uncompromised quality and reliability requirements, because the separation between success and failure for any space systems, especially rocketry and all, you would have seen many rockets which is which is lifting off in a very magnificent way, and had encountered some problems also. So the separation between success and failure is just hairline. Even minor mistakes are not allowed here, because those minor mistakes may ultimately lead to a mission failure also. At this point of time, I would like to just recall and remember the guidance received from the quality veterans of ISRO, Sri R. Aravamudan, Sri S. Selvaraju, and also Dr. B. N. Suresh in systems engineering, and many other seniors. There were many seniors who were giving guidance to those who were joining at those days. See, over the years, the system that is in place, that is, we all call it as ISRO culture, built by our visionaries and of course our predecessors, and it allows ample opportunities for growth. And the most important part is you are valued for your multiple attributes, like technical know-how, commitment to your work, no matter how junior you are in the organization, and most importantly, your ability to merge into a team. It's very important, because ISRO, every mission, the secret of the success is teamwork. Or the other way also, the ability to motivate and utilize your team members. It's also very important, how effectively you are motivating. So over these years, India has reached a commendable position in the launch vehicle technology. I think all of us should be really proud. After SLV and ASLV, ISRO has made a quantum jump in the development of PSLV, which can carry a payload of about 1 ton, with the development of, and it is now an operational vehicle. The geosynchronous launch vehicles GSLV Mark II and GSLV Mark III, with indigenous cryo stages, having a payload capacity of 2.2 ton and 4 ton respectively. And today, really all of us should be really proud. Today, India has 3 operational launch vehicles in its credit. It's a very rare achievement by a nation. ISRO has ambitious plan now. Recently, you can see in the ISRO website also, now everything published. ISRO has very ambitious plan of upgrading the payload capability of our launch vehicle significantly to meet the future needs of next generation spacecrafts, because all high throughput satellites and many complex satellites are in the development phase. And for interplanetary missions, we need higher payload capacity, and also for the human space flight program continuation also. And the development of various technologies like the semi-cryo stage and all is in the very advanced stage. Many other cutting-edge technologies are planned in the coming years. See, in my career, a major change happened 12 years ago, when I received an order issued by Sri G. Madhavan Nair, the chairman of ISRO at that point of time, entrusting me a responsible position in PSLV as Associate Project Director and Vehicle Director of PSLV C12 and PSLV C14 respectively. So for me, it was a period of intense learning and execution of many responsibilities in both technical as well as managerial domains. And in 2010, I was appointed by Dr. K. Radhakrishnan, again the chairman of ISRO at that point of time, as the project director of PSLV. PSLV by now was termed as the workhorse of ISRO. But then with such a title comes a harder responsibility, because expectations are too high. And though all the missions of PSLV or GSLV or GSLV Mark III, all the missions of ISRO, all the missions are very important. But then in my experience or in my tenure, the PSLV C25 with Mars Orbiter, commonly known as Mangalyaan, was a very special mission in all aspects. We were going on with our interplanetary mission for the first time, and the launch window was very constrained. And we were launching in a month where the weather condition at Sriharikota was not favorable. In November, we never had any mission. It was a 45 minutes of flight. Usually any PSLV, it was about 20 minutes flight, but the flight duration had to be extended to meet certain very precise, very challenging orbital requirements for the Mars mission, because we had to inject the satellite to other part of the globe. So we had a very long flight of 45 minutes, and the tracking requirements also was very crucial. We planned 2 shipborne terminals, and all those terminals had to be made ready in the Pacific Ocean. We had a lot of issues that time. Then I would like to just share, apart from the technological challenges involved, it was one of those instances where the whole world was looking at it. I mean, we had the whole world attention on us. So finally, on 5th November 2013, PSLV C25 took off with the Mars orbiter satellite, of course, it was a new beginning that created history. And all of you are aware that on September 24th, the next year, 2014, India became the first country to enter into a Martian orbit in its first attempt. It's really a remarkable achievement. So let me call one of my personal incidents during the final launch campaign of PSLV-CA-18 mission with Megatropic satellite in October 2011, which is probably just one of several such incidents that many others in ISRO would have had. See, my father was not that well, and he wanted to see me badly. So, and I was just waiting for another few more days, just a couple of days, to complete the launch at Sriharikota, and after that rush to my native place, Payyanur. But it was during the final mission readiness review on 9th October that I received a sad news that my father is no more. I was unable to take any decision immediately, but I felt my presence as a project director was essential there in the crucial meeting. And I still don't know how I remained in the meeting for another 25 minutes more for getting the clearance to go ahead with the countdown activities of PSLV-CA-18. Then immediately after the meeting, I left Sriharikota and reached my hometown in the midnight, completed the funeral of my father, and returned back to the spaceport the next day for the scheduled launch on 12th October. So I strongly feel it's the ISRO culture of commitment to the national missions that would have driven me to take a decision to come back to the spaceport and complete the launch. See, today PSLV is one of the most reliable and versatile vehicles we have, and it has completed 52 launches. Yes, I was involved in almost all the launch campaigns at Sriharikota right from the beginning, because initially I was in the systems reliability. I had to join SHAR for every launch campaign, and after my joining in PSLV, I had very close association. It was something like a second home for many of us. Then after 13 successful missions of PSLV as its project director, I was appointed as a director of one of the major centers of ISRO, the Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sriharikota, right now the only spaceport of India, in 2015. And the appointment was made by Sri A.S. Kiran Kumar, the chairman of ISRO at that time. So Sriharikota, you all know, in the east coast of India in Andhra Pradesh, is a place from where all the Indian launches take place. It was an established spaceport with 2 launch pads and all the required launch complex systems to handle multiple launch missions. But then ISRO is progressing, and right from 1960s, over 5 decades, it has progressed significantly and is progressing. But in order to meet the enhanced requirements in future, the capacity and capability of the spaceport in terms of infrastructure, in terms of launch servicing, and all those capabilities had to be expanded in an exponential way. So it gave me a lot of challenges. So several new augmentation projects, we used to call them as SHAR projects, were initiated to double the solid motor production capability in the Sriharikota, to increase the number of PSLV launches from 6 to 15 from the first launch pad, and second, vehicle assembly building, SVAB, which is 3 times bigger than the currently existing the VAB at that point of time, and the spectacular visitors complex that can accommodate 10,000 people at a time, and so on. All those projects, really, I'm fortunate to involve and initiate those projects in those days. See, establishing such a world-class facility from scratch by ISRO, I would say from scratch, because you would have seen many pictures where Professor Vikram Sarabhai and Dr. Satish Dhawan and all our predecessors, they were visiting the forest that time. Sriharikota is 45,000 acres of an island, so nothing was there. So it was built from scratch from 1970s onwards, and today, over the years, it enabled us launching of our own satellites in our own launch vehicle from our own soil. It is something, a phenomenal achievement of India. So in 2018, I was appointed as the director of yet another major center of ISRO, the U.R. Rao Satellite Center, by Dr. K. Shivan, the current chairman of ISRO. Right now, I am at U.R. Rao Satellite Center. I am in one of the conference halls in our center. So we have different types of satellites like remote sensing, communication, meteorology, navigation, science satellites, and so on, for varying applications. See, the design of a satellite is also interdisciplinary. All space systems are interdisciplinary. See, the complexity of interplanetary missions is manifold, because the trajectories have to be very carefully charted, and missions are to be meticulously planned, because here the satellite has to be at the right place at the right moment of time, because we are talking about another operations in another planet. So there are often times where we don't get the type of continuous communication with the satellite, and this calls for built-in autonomy. All the programs are to be built into the satellite systems as autonomy software. If you see the slide here, this is one typical example of an interplanetary mission. You see the complexity. First, the satellite has to be launched and put into an orbit around the Earth, and the orbit has to be expanded, and finally at a very calculated time and at a calculated point, it has to be taken out of the sphere of influence of Earth, and it has to be taken to another planet. And if you take this one, it took about 300 days of voyage to reach the Mars orbiter. And of course, Chandrayaan-2 was Chandrayaan-2 was the most complex mission so far executed by India with respect to the complexity. But we didn't soft land. But then, by no means we can we undermine the milestones achieved in this attempt. See, the very precise lunar orbiter insertion, the separation of the lander and its descent, all perfectly timed and accomplished. The orbiter, with 8 scientific instruments, all world-class instruments, is doing very well. And recently, 2 weeks back, the first set of scientific data we have already released to the public. See, a major reformation recently has been introduced in the space sector, right? All as management students and management faculty, you would have watched. It was a very major reformation announced by the government, the inception of InSpace by Government of India. Here the idea is to open up the space sector to industries and academia, and to use the wider pool of resources in our country to see that much more effective contribution is made, not only by the government sector and also by the private partners and academia and all together, so that the entire synergy is pulled up to maximize the space program in India. See here, it's a commendable achievement by India. You see this is in a nutshell what we achieved. The 79 launch vehicle missions we have achieved, 111 satellites we have achieved, and 53 are in the orbit. And even what the satellites in the orbit are also very versatile. We have navigation satellites, and we have our own Navi constellation. We have the communication satellites. We have the Earth observation satellites. We have a satellite around the moon. We have a satellite around the Mars, and we have an astro laboratory. And very interestingly, the PSLV was used for servicing the launch of 33 countries. 328 satellites from 33 countries were launched by our launch vehicle PSLV. Now, the space program of our country has made visible impacts in the lives of our people, and it has energized and inspired young minds to dream big. See, from humble beginnings and meager infrastructure, the growth to what it is today is incredible. But what is the most important strength in an organization like ISRO? You may be thinking, I believe it is the unwavering commitment and teamwork, definitely, that each and every person willingly put forward, because it's an opportunity. We feel it's an opportunity to serve the nation, and it's an opportunity to serve the people. And that is the spirit that I want to pass on to our young aspirants. And with new endeavors and limitless opportunities, there's a new hope, new possibilities that I am sure will expand our horizons and take our country's space program to greater heights. I will conclude this session by playing a few lines in flute from the well-known Lingashtakam Stotra written by Adi Shankaracharya in the raga Shivaranjani. It's a very only 4 slokas. Thank you.